a case that has been going on and in people's minds for literally the last 18 years. Natalee Holloway disappeared May 30th, 2005 during a high school graduation trip to Aruba. And Joran Van der Sloot, which I just learned there's no D in his name, which I should have known that this whole time, but your mind...
But it looks like there should be a D.
Your mind just sees things and it assigns what it thinks it should. I have a Jordan in my house, so that's why I saw him like, oh, it's Joran Van der Sloot. He's been the prime suspect since the beginning due to several pieces of evidence and circumstances, and that's what we're going to be talking about right now in this story because it's extremely in-depth. You'd be amazed at some of the twists and turns that it took along the way, and if you're just now learning about it all these years later, it's good to have some context because this is going to be a very interesting case to follow once he is charged in these crimes. We're going to start out with the last known contact that Joran Van der Sloot had. He was one of the last people to see Natalee Holloway before she disappeared. Many believe he was the last. He, along with his brothers Deepak and Statish, claimed to have dropped Holloway off at her hotel on the night that she vanished, but security cameras did not record her return. So the whole story of that is what really happened, because it wasn't like the security cameras weren't working. One of those little mysteries that we get sometimes. Another big part of it is his ability to change stories, and he's done it quite a bit. Van der Sloot and the Colpo brothers initially told police that they dropped Holloway off at her hotel, but later Van der Sloot stated that he left her on a beach near the hotel. Inconsistent accounts raising suspicions. I always am confused by this when someone is under a bit of a microscope and then suddenly you start changing your story day to day. It just doesn't seem like a good idea.
Well, they're going to be on to you. I mean, you can't change your story. We've seen that in the Alex Murdaugh story. He just changing. Oh, well, wait a minute. Maybe it was this. Well, which is it? You were there. Tell us the truth.
Why does it need to, and why did they change it? Maybe because they realized that the security camera are going to bust the other one. And then there's incriminating statements. In fact, beyond incriminating statements, various interviews and hidden camera footage. Van der Sloot made several of these in 2008, an undercover video by Dutch reporter Peter R. de Vries. Van der Sloot said that Holloway died on the morning of her disappearance and that a friend dumped her body in the sea. However, he later retracted these statements, claiming that he had lied. Why lie about a murder that you didn't have anything to do with or didn't commit? Why would you even say anything about it is, I think, my question.
Well, and he's also guilty. He pleaded guilty to another murder of somebody else as well. So if he's already pleaded guilty, I think it was Stephanie Flores, a 21-year-old Peruvian. I believe she was Peruvian. So if you're already pleading guilty to a crime of killing somebody, just tell the truth. It's over for you. You're not getting out. You are in trouble. Tell the truth and give these families some damn closure.
Then obviously showing someone who is truly capable of murder by being convicted of murdering Stephanie Flores in Peru, which occurred even more creepily 5 years, exactly 5 years to the day after Holloway's disappearance. Did you know that one?
Did not.
Yeah. And then there's the extortion. Van der Sloot allegedly extorted money from Beth Holloway, Natalee's mother, in return for information on the location of Natalee's body. This action, for which he was later charged, further linked him to the case. And now, 18 years later, he's back in the United States, because this did happen in Peru, to face the charges. It's going to be an interesting one to understand and watch, because he already is in prison over there for the murder of Stephanie Flores, and has at least a 28-year sentence to life to fill out there. And there was an agreement when they extradited him to the U.S. that once his trial was over, and he will stay for the duration of it, he will then be sent back to face his rest of his prison time over there, which may be the rest of his life. So getting him over here, trying him, convicting him, it's got to, I'm sure, bring some closure to the families of this in a certain way. I hesitate to say closure because I think on some of these you never truly have closure, but it brings some answers and hopefully some justice for the Holloway family. At this point, I do wonder if he just comes out and admits to it like he did with the other case. That would save everybody a lot of time and get him back to the old Peruvian jail faster. However, I really wonder what he's going to plead, if anything, in this. If he's going to say innocent or guilty or what, to either speed this process along or take the ride through the American judicial system.
I'm trying to figure out and wrap my head around what the purpose of bringing him here really does for any of this.
To try him in U.S. courts?
Yeah, I get that. But, is it worth the expense and the pain? Maybe it's because Natalie's mom wants to face him and see him face to face. So maybe that's part of it. But to me, it just seems like almost wasted time, wasted energy. And not that I don't think that this family is worth that. That's not what I mean. But to me, it just seems like we're going after him for wire fraud. There's something so much bigger that he most likely did. Yeah. So I just, maybe we're trying to get closure on something through a different avenue, I guess.
The amount of money that will be spent on this will be in the millions of dollars. And,
exactly.
And when you look at, okay, well, if the government's going to be spending millions of dollars on something, is this the right place to do it? Wouldn't that money be better used? Because we already know he did all these things. Wouldn't that be better used? He's in a Peruvian jail to start a foundation or something around Natalie. Maybe there already is, but maybe contribute to that and doing good and positive in the world rather than giving this piece of shit more attention. Because that's exactly where my brain is going. We're giving him a flight from Peru to the United States, room and board. The judicial system is not cheap to enter. So there's a whole lot of money being poured into this piece of shit guy. For what? What are we getting out of it? Well, I'm wondering the same thing too in some other cases here. It's going to be getting very ridiculous very soon. Alec Murdaugh is another one of those cases where there's hundreds of charges pending against him. At what point do we say there's nothing more to get here, and all you're doing is actually letting him out of jail for a prison for a couple of days to be in a courtroom, which actually probably is enjoyable for him versus being in prison. Once the coffers are dry, what are we doing? Why are we continuing to do this? A lot of people lost a lot of money. A lot of that money is gone. We're never going to know where it is. And he's a habitual liar that will probably never give you true or straight answers to anything. Let's just let him rot in jail and let everybody move on with their lives. Unless there's some things here, maybe there's some things with insurance companies or this and that where something needs to be proven in a court of law for it to pay out to victims. I don't know. But it also seems like a tremendous waste of money. But we do spend a lot of money in the country on things like this, on trying people, public defenders, the cost to the courts, all of that, when the evidence is so damn there. I wish there was more of an express type court system, and I don't know what that would look like or how that is. But I could there's got to be a more efficient way of trying some of these people than the way we do right now. Although if you think the American justice system is kind of fucked up and it looks weird and strange, did you know that in the UK they still wear fucking wigs?
Do they really?
Yes. Lawyers, attorneys, and the judges wear wigs.
Are they wearing the robes too?
I know the judge. I don't know exactly how far the attire goes, but look up attorneys in the UK and their photos, whereas ours are nice sitting in front of a bookshelf with kind of greasy hair. Theirs are people. It just depends on the attorney. I have plenty good friends that are. But then there's these where it looks like they took the wig out of a box or out of a museum and put it on, and we're starting to play court in 1824. But it's tradition. They keep it up over there. I don't really know why that one is, though. That just doesn't make a lot of sense.
Tradition. And yes, they are still wearing and let's see, they followed the tradition of wearing head wigs, which is regarded as a symbol of power and respect for the law. Not wearing a wig is perceived as an insult to the courts.
Well, then maybe the court should get themselves out of 1772 if they're being offended by that.
Yeah, there you go. And that's more like it.
It's like it's offended. Doesn't have to be. Being offended is a choice. And we're talking about an entity, a court, which doesn't have feelings, by the way.
It's not supposed to have feelings.
It's not at all. It would be, and if you're the individual that's offended by it, well, it's just time to grow the fuck up.
I agree.
And kind of be like that. We used to do that. Sure. I think we did it over here, too, for a very long time.
Mm-hmm. And then we said, you know what? Probably not a good idea. Lice might be an issue.
Like, this is kind of stupid. And we look kind of dumb. And it's hard to take us seriously in court when we're wearing fucking wigs. But
right.
And it's not like they're like wigs. If you're trying to picture wigs, picture George Washington wig. Okay. That's what they're like. It's not like Beyonce wig. Like
exactly.
where the attractive attorney is coming in and she's got hair that looks like, oh my gosh, she could be in a rap video. No, it's George Washington wigs on male and female.
Well, and they just stick it over their head. They don't like tuck their other hair under it. So if it's a woman and they've got long hair, they just plop the stupid looking wig on top of their head and then their hair is flowing out from underneath. So it's not even done correctly.
It looks utterly ridiculous.
It really does.
mean, and for someone who is in a very, very serious profession, I think it would be almost the equivalency to if we said, okay, if you work in the prison system and you're an officer there, we need you to dress like Superman every day. Everyone has to be dressed like Superman. Why? Because it's offensive if you're not. And we want you to feel super and everyone else feel like you're there to save the day. Or officers in the line of duty. Like, this is nuts. We shouldn't be doing that. But they do like...
Have you ever walked into a hospital and seen a nurse with the hat on?
A nurse with a hat on?
You know, with the white hat?
Oh, not anymore.
I did like about 4 years ago, and I did a double take. Like, where do you even buy that? I never saw it in the uniform stores. Are
you sure it was a true nurse and not someone who is, in the ER after having some sort of horrible, like, sexual accident?
No, and it wasn't like a surgical cap. I wore that when I worked at the vet clinic. I wore it all the time because I was always in surgery, but it wasn't a surgical cap. It was that old style, like 1950s nurse's hat. You know what I'm talking about?
It almost looks like, which we
like a flight attendant.
Yes, exactly. Which they do still wear those sometimes. I think it's kind of optional though, or depending on the.
But again, it's in the UK. Some of those, like Virgin Airlines, I want to say, like they will still wear those hats. But it was weird for me to see that nurse's hat. It was like, what?
Yeah. That's things that are, there's certain things to hold on to because it does mean something. And there's certain things that just look utterly fucking crazy.
Murder in the morning from the Hidden Killers podcast.
Hey, if you want to weigh in on any of the topics that we talk about here, you can weigh in on our phone line, 888-5-KILLER, 888-554-5537. We'd love to hear your opinion. For Stacy, I'm Tony. Stay with us.